On this episode of the Psychic Jam, we are talking about the effects of daylight savings time for psychics.
You are listening to the Psychic Jam, a podcast that inspires holisticpreneurs like you to gain confidence, to learn, and to listen to your inner voice. Tune in as featured experts of the Psychic Associates discuss heavy and taboo topics, breaking down all the barriers of the realities of working in this industry.
Hello, everyone, and welcome here today. On this episode of the Psychic Jam, we are talking about daylight savings times and the effects that it has on psychics and mediums and sensitives and all of these wonderful things. And, we're just getting into this. And isn't it difficult to get out of bed, ladies, in the morning when it comes to this? Isn't it crazy?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Oh, my goodness. It's difficult for me because I really have a hard time around this time of the year because, although we have, that extra hour, as they say, to sleep in, like for me, it's not that extra hour. I'm really messed up with my time. It's darker earlier. I get all kind of, I don't know. I'm off with it. I'll be doing a reading. It's 4:00. It's already dark. And I'm not used to that because I'm so used to it being dark around 8 or 9 o'clock at night. So Amber, does daylight savings affects you in any way?
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Yes, absolutely. One of the things I'm actually dealing with right now is always in the fall during daylight savings is I start to lose my voice. So you can hear it. It's a little raspy today. Sorry, people. It happens because my body gets so burnt out from the change of my sleep pattern that I actually start to lose my voice. My nose gets stuffed up. Now, as a psychic medium, I have always had autoimmune disorders, and that's just part of my normal everyday stuff. And especially in the fall, I do suffer from allergies, but this is different. So what I'm talking about around daylight savings is my body's tired, my muscles are sore, everything's starting to change and shift. It's getting cooler outside. And then my voice starts to go, and then everything just starts to hurt a lot more. So always, since I've been born, I have gone through from about October to about December of body aches, sinus issues, losing my voice back and forth. I have had difficulty sleeping. Now, I already have trouble sleeping as a psychic medium because I have people trying to talk to me through the night, or energy shifts, or if my, one of the people in my house are having a nightmare or something, I'm always attuned to those things. But in terms of daylight savings and the time shifts, I start to get really foggy too. Like, a lot of people that I talk to right now are all saying like they're having difficulty concentrating, and they feel like foggy brained. Like, you guys get that too, like foggy, where you're like, oh my goodness, I just can't even concentrate.
Yep.
Yeah. So I get that as well. I feel like I've always felt like going into fall that's our spirit's way, like our soul's way of releasing all the stuff we don't need. So it's kind of like where you've got a bad connection because you're trying to like plug into the new you, and then you're also plugged into the old version of you, and it's kind of like a distortion. So what I've noticed over the years is during daylight savings, you are releasing those old parts of yourself that you've already gone through, you've learned, you've accepted, and now you're trying to release. But there's that disconnection between accepting the new you and accepting the things that you're not willing to carry with you anymore, and what that means for you. So daylight savings really does put all of those things into perspective. I also get pretty lightheaded or dizzy. And this, I feel like, is we've got the farmer's moon usually around this time frame. We tend to get lots of solar flares. We tend to get, retrograde around a certain time frame. This year, we've just kind of concluded the Mercury retrograde, right? We just had that. So there's a lot of things that contribute to, astrologically contribute to the daylight savings. So when we talk about the Farmer's Almanac and all of those things, it all really does kind of come to this big head. It's like the Bermuda Triangle for me. It's like this big, because I love the energy of releasing things, but it's shifting into the new way of living. So I also find that spiritual connections, like psychic connections, heighten for me. So when things are getting darker earlier, I find that I'm able to be in tuned more. Because, you know, if you think about it, if you think about even just our primal senses, when it's dark, it's been said that we tune into our hearing and our taste and our sight a lot more, right? We use our other senses. So I've attributed that for me to using my psychic senses more. I'm in tuned because my environment is getting darker. It's getting colder. I feel like I have to be more, touching base with the things that are around me. So now, having said that, I've also experienced overstimulation. So when I was telling you about the fact that I get the body aches and, the sinus and the voice and stuff, I also feel overstimulated by sound, by touch, by smell. And so for about a month around this period of time, and I'm talking about daylight savings in the fall, I really struggle with, like things touching me or a lot of noise. Like I can really, really hear the buzzing of the electronics and all of those things. So daylight savings for me has always been a struggle because I feel like we're going against what our body is supposed to be doing. Like we are doing a man-made thing to create something for us, and for some people it can be really challenging to kind of acclimate to that. Now in the spring, when we change, our clocks spring ahead, I'm super like anxious, and by anxious I mean, like, remember I was saying overstimulated? Well, this is like overstimulated on, I don't even know what, like
On
way
steroids.
more. On steroids, yes, good one. Okay, perfect. Because I am now buzzing. Like my body is like legitimately buzzing and vibrating. And I'm like ready to go, like a jackrabbit, just like ready to go. Like, what can I do? How can I do it? Spring cleaning, organizing, planning new projects. Even right now, you can hear the intensity of my energy just kind of amped up a little bit because I'm going into that energy form of myself. So in the fall, I'm slowing down, I'm releasing, my body's like releasing all that stuff. So it's working it out. And in the spring, when we spring ahead in the daylight savings, it is like go time. Like there is a lot of energy, a lot of vibration. The sun is out. Now, all of the things that I was releasing in my physical body and my auric body have now balanced out. So now I'm trying to create and move forward and do things in such a way that it's kind of like attributing to what goals that I have. So I feel really, really good in the spring around daylight savings, right? But the sleep patterns are still affected. The sleep patterns are very difficult. Like I'm waking up super early to the sun, and it's harder to fall asleep and get calmer at night. So I have noticed that I do not sleep a lot during the summer hours because I feel like I should be going. If the sun is awake, I'm awake. So I do struggle with that. And I've heard a lot of my clients say that too, just trying to like be in that space. Now, I've also lived with shift workers. I've been a shift worker, and daylight savings for them being psychic and shift working has proven to be very challenging because you're not able to kind of honor your body, mind, and soul the way that you would want to. So as somebody who isn't able to be up with the sun and sleep with the moon, it is going to be a challenging thing to figure out how you can find that balance and groundedness in that. And what I would suggest is making sure you know your body, you listen to your body, you try to plan things that you can do that are going to give you fun and enjoyment, and experiment with those things, because it might change from time to time. You might want to read today, but tomorrow you might want to go ride your bike. So just kind of experimenting with what it is that you can do. And what I have noticed for the people that do shift working in and around daylight savings that are very sensitive to energy, it's all about using your physical body to release that energy so that your soul and your mind and your emotions can stay grounded and balanced. So try to get that energy out of your body, whether it's a massage, a hug, going for a run, your bike, what have you. But yeah, that's kind of my experience as a psychic with, daylight savings and energy around that. Liz, what about you?
Yeah, no, you pretty much nailed it with a lot of key points. But how I've always looked at it, and before I even go into that, Amber, you said that you often get, like a sore throat or raspy voice or whatever, not feeling well around October. I have every single year in October, I get sick every single year. it's like clockwork. So the only saving grace was that, we had the 2 years plus of the masks. That actually saved me from catching any kind of cold or like flu thing. So it was wonderful for 2 years. I didn't get sick. And now I'm just being super cautious about, being out in public and all of that stuff. So, and I'm working on breathing because I've always looked at daylight savings time somewhat like, if you think of the animals, right? Think of animals. They start to, gather through the summer to prepare for the winter. So they have to prepare for food. They have to prepare shelter. They have to prepare all of those things in order to survive the winter. And, obviously the cold and the lack thereof, sustenance, food, water, shelter, that kind of thing. So I always think of us humans somewhat like that as we shift to the harvest time. We've gathered all our food, which is, September. Now October is all about relaxing. We've got the stress and all the intensity from spring right through all summer, where we've worked really, really hard to, bring to fruition projects, our business. We're playing hard outside. We're enjoying the nice weather because we can, if you live in this type of climate, for sure, as we do here in Canada. The whole idea of the soul or the spirit taking on less daylight, I see or feel personally as a diminishing kind of thing. So my body just goes into kind of like a dormant stage where, okay, I have to reserve myself, reserve my energy, all of those things. So I force myself, and most light workers should really force themselves to try and get outside during the winter months, no matter how cold it is, because I don't like the cold at all. Like my husband, you can ask him, he'll tell you. I have a fluctuation in temperature that I like, and it's 2 degrees. It just like has to be the same all the time. I'm either too hot or too cold. So, it's as someone who also suffers from autoimmune issues, I really have to be conscious of, staying snuggly and warm. And I do love the whole bundling up, sweaters, blankets, all the hot chocolate, all that fun stuff that we get with the winter. But the whole idea of, energetically feeling drained, not really wanting to focus on a said project, but focus on what am I planning for the spring. I find that that's kind of how I operate. So I do a lot of launches with my business in the spring. It's like you were talking about, Amber, how you have this incredible energy shift in the spring. And I think that goes with the light. I'm confident that the light, or the lack thereof light, during daylight savings time does affect us in that we do want to slow things down and kind of bundle up. And then, as the light starts to recreep back into, our focus, because we are light workers after all. So we are attracted to the light. And so therefore it kind of gives us that boost of energy to really, step in and take on whatever it is life has to throw at us, whether it's in personal or business, right? So yeah, I really look at it that in that kind of perspective from the animalistic perspective. And I do sense that, the winter or daylight savings time is all about preparing mentally for the spring. So I love that you brought that forward, Amber, because I think that is absolutely in line with where I'm at. What about you, Jay?
I listen to both of you, and you make both such amazing, points with everything. And I agree. I feel like the bear,
Yeah.
in October. And, I don't know about you guys, but I always look at Halloween, when we're looking at Halloween and it's already like 5 o'clock and the doorbell's ringing. And it's like, what? And then you start realizing, oh yeah, it's dark out. I have to hurry up because the kids start so early. But I always found a romance about this time of the year, the leaves changing. I love that. And I live way up in the north, so it starts snowing. We started having snow the first week of October here. It's gone now, but it's like, oh my God, now I know we're going to have a very long winter. But it's like preparing, like you say, and getting ready. And, so you're like hibernating, but you're not. You're still buzzing with all of that, like that energy. I don't like the cold like you, but I like the romance of it, the sparkly diamond like snow and the big flakes coming down and the big fireplace with the roaring fire. So I love all of these things, but I'm sure as hell happy when spring shows up because I'm so tired of snow by then. So I find that snow and the time change and the darkness really kind of depletes me. So I really have to push myself to go for my walks every day. I have to have a very strict regiment because otherwise I end up going, oh no, it's too cold. I want to just stay cozy. I don't want to do anything. So I constantly have to motivate myself. And that's why I like working with you too, because I get that support. Come on, Jay, wake up.
Yeah.
It's in the winter. You just want to stay warm and you don't want to think about even anything. So as a light worker, I find that it affects me in terms of my clients too. My clients are all exhausted by the time fall comes around. So we do a lot of that releasing, as Amber talks about. We do a lot of release of energy, bringing in the good, letting go of the bad, and we kind of like do a lot of visualization around that. So I find that that really helps me. Music really helps my energy field and it helps me raise that vibration, especially when I'm feeling like I don't want to do much. So the thing is, for me, that music, I just crank it in the morning, I get dancing, I get energetic, and then I'm all set for my day. Because when I raise my vibration, I just attract the same. But that's kind of how it affects me. I find I'm more tired during this time. I don't get as sick, but I do find my energy depletes very quickly. And I think it has a lot to do, like you say, Liz, with the sun and, being there in the light, just kind of motivating and feeling so good. And I love a sunny day in the winter as well. I'll just sit in the window and let that sun, really absorb. So make sure you take your vitamins too, because I'm telling you, it takes a lot of energy to stay warm and to kind of not feel those effects emotionally, physically, mentally. It's
Vitamin D, Jane.
yeah, vitamin D for sure, and lots of orange juice just to keep your levels up. But that's kind of how I feel about it. So, everybody has a different effect when it comes to daylight savings time. And even like for regular workers, but for psychics, I find also my psychic friends a little bit more elevated psychically as well. So when you say that, Amber, I totally agree with that, because a lot of my friends go, wow, I feel so connected, so I don't know if it has to do with all these cycles and the sun not being around. I don't know, but all I know is that it really has a great effect. But this was a really interesting conversation, ladies. I get to a little bit more about you, and I don't know about you, but I always gain about 5 pounds in the winter. I don't know. Do we blame that on daylight?
We're storing the fat, that's
it. I'm hibernating, right?
Exactly.
I'm just glad the Bears leave though in November. I'm telling you.
It's my excuse. I'm sticking to it.
For those of you looking for some support or just really wanting to learn more about their gifts, we have an amazing psychic development course that will just so I just get so excited, ladies, when I talk about this. I'm so sorry, but we have such a great course, and a lot of people are signing into it. I'm so excited about it because we've had some great feedback. So if you're looking to get some help or learn more about your abilities and gifts, please check us out at thepsychicassociates.com. You'll also find us on Facebook and Instagram at The Psychic Associates. Until next time, we'll see you real soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Psychic Jam. Please share if you liked our podcast. For more information on our services, or if you'd like to be listed on our directory, please visit thepsychicassociates.com.